Plants are living organisms. They cover much of our planet. They come in many different shapes and colors, but they all need air, water, sunlight, and nutrients to live. Every grass, flower, or tree is a plant, large or small, on the land or in the sea, from forests to deserts. Plants are almost everywhere. It's a big umbrella-shaped tree, grows in such type of islands called savanna.
What are the characteristics of the savanna?
The most famous savanna is Southern African savanna. It's a grassland habitat, a large areas of flat grassy land with very few trees, extremely lack of water during the dry season, so most large plants can't grow in this habitat. Mild temperatures, it's not too hot or not too cold. Acacia tree is adapted to survive through many months of drought in its environment.
What is the structural adaptation of the acacia tree?
It has tiny leaves grow on the top of the tree to help them hold water while soaking up sunlight needed to make food. There are sharp spines around the leaves to prevent animals from eating these leaves. A very long trunk, so most animals can't reach high enough to eat its leaves. The trunk stores water, as the hump in the camel stores fat. A very long root called taproot that grows directly to search for water. Now, can you tell me, what is the structural adaptation of acacia tree?
It has tiny leaves which holds water while soaking up sunlight that is needed to make food. It has sharp spines around the leaves to prevent animals from eating these leaves. It has a very long trunk that stores water and prevents animals eating its leaves. It has a very long root called taproot to search for water. But how does the acacia tree defend itself from animals?
When an animal begins eating its leaves, it produces a poison, make the leaves taste very bad to keep this animal away. It sends smelly message in the wind to warn other acacia trees nearby, telling them to start making the same poison. Now, what is the behavioral adaptation in the acacia tree?
It produced a poison when an animal begins eating its leaves to make the leaves taste very bad to keep this animal away. It sends a smelly message in the wind to warn other acacia trees nearby, telling them to start making the same poison.
A giant umbrella tree, the Kapok tree. It can reach 200 feet in height, stands in its habitat, and adapted to survive in its environment, the Amazon rainforests.
What is the characteristics of the rainforest of Brazil?
It's rainy most of the year, so it's easy to find water. It has a very strong winds. It's hard for some plants in this habitat to reach sunlight due to the extra tall trees.
What's the structural adaptation of the Kapok tree?
It has hand-shaped leaves with narrow parts to allow wind to move gently without tearing them. It has fluffy yellow seeds to be easily carried by the wind across the forest. It has large wide roots. It can start up 5 meters above the ground, called butter's roots. Butter's roots aren't planted deeply in the ground, but they grow high up on its trunk to hold the tree firmly in the soggy soil. Now, can you tell me what's the structural adaptation of the Kapok tree?
It has hand-shaped leaves with narrow parts to allow wind to move more gently through leaves without tearing them. It has fluffy yellow seeds carried by wind easily across the forest. It has large, wide roots, butter's roots. They grow high up on its trunk to hold the trees firmly in the soggy soil.
And what is the behavioral adaptation of the Kapok tree?
Kapok tree has delicious smelling flowers to send messages through wind to attract bats towards it. All plants have roots, stems, and leaves. They are differ in their structure and shape of their roots, stems, and leaves to survive and grow in their environments. Mangrove tree. It lives in the salt water. It has long and strong roots to resist the water waves. Water lily. It lives in the fresh water. It has white floating leaves to absorb a large amount of sunlight. Pine tree that lives in the snow habitat. It has a triangular shape and short branches to allow snow to slide easily over it, so its branches don't break. It has needle leaves to prevent the loss of water. In the hot, dry desert, there is the palm tree. It has thick roots and small leaves to resist the strong winds. The desert is also the habitat of the Barbary fig. It has sharp spines and tough outer cover to prevent animals from eating its leaves and fruits. So, plants have different properties that help them to adapt and survive in their different environments through their structural adaptations. See you next time. Thank you.